welcome back to my channel. You are locked in at the right place and at the right time. So I've been wanting to do this video since the day I found out that the universe had perfectly aligned all of my dreams and goals and made something happen for me. But of course, I always believe in waiting to speak on things until they are signed and sealed. So I can finally share to you guys that I am going to be an author in June 2020. Yay! It feels so good to speak about it with such confidence and passion because I've been wanting to share it for so long, but I just wanted to wait till the right time, and I did announce it on Instagram, but I needed to tell my YouTube family all about it, the story behind it, and everything that I have. That's I'm just so excited to share it with you, like the book, what it's about, when it's coming out, and yeah, just let's get into it anyway before I get my feelings. I guess the journey started when I was around 11 and I read a book called Inner Wisdom by Louise Hay. Louise Hay is one of my favorite authors, and everything she stands for is just always aligning perfectly with whatever I'm going through. Any book I read of hers always speaks to me, and it's just so precise in everything I'm feeling. I love listening to her speak. I just love everything about her. Like, she's a great person to have within and on your journey. So I was gifted her book by my godmother, and I didn't read that book until I was around 18 when I was going through my first ever, I wouldn't call it a heartbreak, I would just say it was a moment of growth. It was a really toxic relationship. He would manipulate me and just make me feel very controlled by him. So it took a lot mentally to get out of that situation, and I had never experienced something like that before, so it was really challenging for me, and I decided to pick up this book. This is the exact one I'm speaking about. I have mentioned it in a video before, just to say how it really guided me, and I randomly flipped through some of the pages and I saw it was speaking in first person, which I wasn't used to. I was always used to reading books about a girl who goes traveling or a girl who falls in love with a guy, and it was never things for you to say about yourself, and it really spoke to me. After I read that, I got so emotional and I started crying, and I just started reading this book over and over again, and anytime I'd feel sad, I'd say the affirmations out loud, and it was just really therapeutic for me to know that there was this deep-rooted power within me that was able to heal from something that I was just so hurt by, and it really helped me in the long run because now I was able to set boundaries for myself and learn what I can tolerate and what I can't. So after reading this book, it was now when I was around 19, and I went on a tour around Africa, and before the tour I decided to order a lot of self-love books from Louise Hay because I discovered that she had so many more, and I ordered like maybe 7 or 8 books, and I only took 2 with me because I knew that we would be traveling and some moments we wouldn't have internet or whatever, so I knew that I would get bored easily, and I decided to indulge in words because I find that when I was younger, reading was more of like homework or a chore. It wasn't out of enjoyment unless it was a book I liked. So now taking the initiative as an adult to read something that would help me mentally, physically, spiritually, it was just really an amazing experience. And I remember I was in Zimbabwe at the time, and I took one of the books with me because the car that we had, the radio didn't work, so I knew that these road trips would honestly see the worst of me looking out the window overthinking or whatever. So I decided to take one of the books, and I remember the driver turning to me and saying, "Wow, I haven't seen a young person of your age read in so long," and I was like, okay. So I literally read through the book, like flicked through the pages so fast, and by the time the day was done I had already read it, and the next day I took another one and read that one, and I just felt so empowered by these words of hers. So that's when my love for Louise Hay really sparked, and you'll understand why I mentioned her towards the end of the story. So when I came home from that trip, I was mentally exhausted because 8 weeks away from home, I just needed to gain that sense of stability and balance within myself that I wasn't able to create whilst traveling and moving around so much, and it was a lot for me. So I remember I started working on things that were on my list that I always create at the beginning of every year. I have mentioned this. I create a goal list, and on that year in particular it said to start the initiative of making a book. So I started creating this book, and I figured since I had the summer holiday, and it was one of my last summer holidays because I was in university and I knew like soon you're going to be working full time and you won't have such thing as a summer holiday. So I started like just putting together this document on pages, and I just put text and different quotes. And weird enough, at the time I used to do this thing called, oh my god, what was it called? It was on Twitter, and it was like soul sessions or something like that. I don't remember the exact hashtag I'd use, but I'd literally just share like all my lessons that I'd learned in the week. And at that time life was heavy because boy, I was always sharing all these deep quotes, and everyone could really relate to them. So people started like telling me and asking me if I could write a book and put this into something they can take with me. So I was like, oh my god, this would be such a great idea. So I remember putting the book together, and at the time it only had like 12 pages because I knew that it would obviously be expanded as time went on, but I just wanted to get a kind of feel of the theme and everything. And at the time I told my manager who I was working with that I wanted to do this, and he was really excited about it, and he decided to put me in touch with loads of authors and loads of publishing companies, but no one got back to me. And the one person that did just said that I could do better, and I just took that advice and literally strive to do better. I also had an illustrator at the time which I knew I wanted to help me, but she bailed out and said she couldn't do it because she enrolled in a new job and she didn't want to take on too much work. And I was like, oh, okay. And it was just so frustrating because I just felt like at the time nothing was working in my favor. So then I reached out to another illustrator and we met up, and then she emailed and said it's not aligned with me. And I was like, oh, why is nothing working out for me? And at the time, as humans, whenever you're going through something and nothing goes your way, you feel like that's it and you should give up. But I took a different approach, and instead I just took a step back and I just realized that maybe her illustrations or his management wasn't for me, and there was something bigger and better, and I just trusted in that, and I didn't force it anymore, and I just focused on other things. So round about last year now, I was telling my amazing agency about my goals, and I like to speak about them to the people I trust because you never know who you're speaking to and what they can do for you and how they can elevate you. So I told my agent, her name is Anna, and she's absolutely amazing, and I told her I wanted to make a self-love book, and it's something I had worked on but it didn't come to light. And she was like, oh my god, I can put you in touch with the right people. But before that, PS, I'm a Gemini. Telling stories, I'm terrible at them. So I don't even know why I opted to do this video, because I'm like, So before having that meeting with her, 6 months prior, I went on my tour, my I'm Not My Hair tour, and I needed someone to make me a poster for the event. And I remember I wanted to create the poster, but then I realized that what I had in my head, there was no way I could do it because I didn't know how to illustrate. All I knew was like how to put text together and imagery, but to actually draw something up and put it on the computer, I didn't know how to do that. So I did a story on my Instagram, and I was like, tag any graphic designers, and literally hundreds of people DM'd me, and I went through every single one of them, but only one person sent me examples of their work. Everyone else just sent me links to their website or just said, hey, I'm a graphic designer, or hey. And I was like, okay, first of all, like how many messages I'm receiving, I really don't have the time to then go to your website, scroll through your work. Like, you need to show it to me there and then. And that's a tip if you're watching, if you're creative and someone says I'm looking for this, make it easy for them. Send a little bit about yourself, and then maybe like a diagram of like 4 images that you've worked on, or if they're asking for music, send a link to your music, or if you can insert the file there and they can easily listen to it. Don't make things complicated for people because you'll literally go to like the bottom of the list. So I found that I finally understood why employers like declined so many of my job applications when I was 16, when it was literally not easy for them to access and navigate my attributions. So yeah, that was a huge lesson for me. So I met this girl, her name was Fern, and she DM'd me, she put examples of her work, and I was totally impressed by her previous work, even though it had nothing to do with like curly hair or anything, but just the creativity levels she had were just amazing, and I knew that we would be a great team. And she only had 2 days to create this poster for me. In my head it was me cutting my hair. Half of my hair was cut with things falling out, and the other side was big and blonde, and then the tour dates were at the bottom. And I sent her an image of this line drawing I drew on notes, and she literally emulated exactly what was in my head onto the image, and I was just so shocked when she sent it to me. I was just like, you are amazing. So from that moment, when I came back from the tour, I asked her if we could meet up, and we did. And I was like, okay, listen, I've got all these projects I want to do. I've got the book, then I have this and I have that, can't tell you all of them. So she was really excited about it, and we started working together. I knew, weirdly enough, that I needed to pitch myself with examples of my book and make a book package, and I did it. Even though I didn't know that I would meet with publishers, I just knew I had to make one. And I'm really big on being ready. Like, what's the saying? If you stay ready, you never have to get ready, right? Like, that's the saying I live by. My big sister Fedora always says your nails have to be done so you're ring ready. So if anyone tries to propose to me, my nails are done. I don't have to say, oh, my nails aren't done. Like, you know, I'm not ring ready. So I try to look at life like that. You always have to stay ready, and then you never have to get ready. So I already put together this package, and I invested in it because I obviously had to pay her for all her work and everything like that. And then we're now at this meeting with my agency, and they were like, well, do you have examples? And I was like, yeah, I do. And I showed them this package, and they were like, oh my god, this is amazing. When people usually say they want to write a book, they don't even have notes on it. Like, wow, okay, cool, I'm gonna put you in touch with this woman and she can help you. So I then met with this woman, her name is Jo, she's a Gemini. When we met up, weirdly enough, we had the exact same notepad. The notepad was yellow, and it had something about bigger goals, bigger dreams, or something like that. It's in my many stashes of notebooks that I have in my apartment, so to find it is just a really big myth. But we saw that we had the same notepad, we were both Geminis, and I was like, well, another sign, I'm big on little signs. And I showed her the examples, and she was really impressed. She said I had a lot of work to do, but it was something exciting, and she was really happy because it was something new and fresh that she had never seen before in the industry. And that alone was just so exciting for me, because I feel like I've never seen a book like this. No, I know I've never seen a book like this before, and that's the beauty of it. It's something I wish I had growing up, and now it's something I have, and that's really sentimental to me to know that I'm doing something different and something that's never been done before. So we started having more of these meetings with Fern, who's my illustrator, and Jo, who's my literature agent, and we were just building on the text, building on everything. And then she told me that we had to eventually meet with book companies once she sends off my pitch, and she sent it off to maybe around 20 different companies, and around about 4 got back to her. The first 3, I don't remember their names, but the 4th one was Hay House, and Hay House is run and founded by Louise Hay. So when I saw that, and it was the 4th one on her email, I was flicking through the descriptions and I saw that, and I was like, oh my god, my book is going to be published by Louise Hay's company. And I was literally like so shook. Even though I hadn't met them yet, they hadn't said yes, but they just wanted to meet me, I was like, it's obviously going to be them. So Jo then set up this date where we would meet all 4 companies in one day. And let me tell you guys, I've never turned into a robot so much in my life, because each meeting we had was in a different setting, but you had to present yourself in the best way you can. And if anyone knows me, I'm sure you guys know, sometimes I literally run out of English, that just means I run out of words, but it's something me and my best friend do, because we end up speaking gibberish, and we're like, well, English is gone, so I'll speak to you later, sis. But yeah, it was just a lot for me, and I'm actually quite shy. Like, people don't know that about me, but if you were to put me in an event space with like 200 women, I will thrive. But if you put me in a space with 5 or 10 people, even just one-to-one, I'm very shy. So I was so nervous to have to speak about myself. I don't really like talking about myself and my achievements, because I don't like that it's sometimes perceived as being vain or just self-absorbed. So I always try to like just stay humble and remain mellow, so that no one has that perception of me, because I never want to make anyone feel inadequate or to ever make anyone feel like they're not doing enough because they hear my story and they're like, oh, that's not fair. And that happens a lot. So I try to learn to stay chill, because I've been in so many situations where I'm like sharing my journey, and then a girl who's younger than, well, older than me or same age as me, and they're like, that's not fair, like, you've done so much. And I'm like, I really don't mean to make you feel like that. So yeah, it was a little bit difficult for me to get out of that comfort zone, but I had to do it because I wanted my book on shelves for women all around the world. So I knew I had to step it up. And so we had these meetings, and when I stepped into Hay House, which is the third meeting, there was literally like 8 people in the room, and they're all like this on a table, and I'm literally like right there facing all of them. And I was like, before we begin, I have to say that I'm meant to be here, and I brought this book with me, and I was like, this is the first book that ever spoke to me, and I've had it for 10 years now, and it's helped me so much, and it makes total perfect sense that my book is going to be published by Louise Hay. She's someone I speak about all the time, and yeah, I'm just really excited for this journey. And they're all like, okay girl, okay. So we had the meeting. It was a success. Let me get my words together. And then I went home, slept, because I was like, whoa, need to recharge. And then I never questioned anything after that. But 2 weeks later, I was at my friend's event, and it was actually the first day of Gemini season, which is my season. Can I get it? For my Geminis. So yeah, we were at this event, and then my agent calls me, and she's like, Hay House are offering you this much. You can say yes if you want to, or we can wait for another company to come back. I was like, no, this is the one, like, I'm signing with Hay House. And it was never about the money. Jo was really excited to obviously give me, her client, a great deal, but I was just really excited to know that there was another community of people who believed in me and who could see something come out of my book, and I was just so grateful for that. So afterwards, we then signed everything, and it's just been an amazing journey ever since. I've been working really hard to really bring all the illustrations together, making sure the fine details are there, making sure I give as much of my story as I want you guys to know. And it's basically a journal, or it's not a journal, it's a book, but it has journal elements where I obviously always tell you guys about my journal, where I write in it, and I write to my younger self. But in this case, I'm writing to you guys about my journey, obviously, and I want you guys to write your own as well, and feel like I'm there with you wherever you go. And yeah, it's just really exciting, and it comes out in June 2020, which of course is Gemini/Cancer season, so we'll see when it's done by, and like everything's ready. But yeah, it's just so fun. Right now we're in the stages of proofreading all the words, with the editors, working chapter by chapter. And yeah, it's just an amazing experience to do this. And I've been keeping it under wraps for so long. And I've been telling you guys I'm working on something, and you're like, what is it? And this is one of them. So yeah, I'm really happy, and I can't wait to take you guys along with me on the journey and to show you everything. But just stay tuned on my Instagram and my Twitter. Everything is Near the Light, and I'll be sure to keep you guys posted. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and just to show that in life you may hear no's, or people may not align with you in your journey, but that's okay, because as long as you believe in yourself and you know that whatever it is you're working on is meant to be felt by the world, then you're absolutely fine. And you just have to trust in yourself and trust in everyone you meet, and at the end of the day, like, you will always be fine, and know that, learn that, feel that, and you will be that. So yeah, I'll see you guys soon. I hope you enjoyed this video and stay tuned for more. But yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Bye guys.